Hey, what's up? We're back, and this week we're going to be doing a recap real quick for UFC London, and then after this, I'm going to be putting out the UFC Nashville breakdown, so be on the lookout for that. But hell of an event at UFC London. Really fun for me. The first fight of the night, Mike Grundy, Nadir Rahmani, had that bet placed on Mike Grundy, and didn't win how I thought he would. He won with the striking. The striking looked pretty good. He went out there, he put Nadir Rahmani away in the second round after he got hurt himself, so showed some well-rounded skills out there. He looks pretty serious now because if he can do that on the feet, you already know about his wrestling skills. That's a pretty well-rounded guy that could cause a lot of people issues. So big win there for Mike Grundy. And I thought Nadir Rahmani looked good. He was able to stop most of the takedowns. He did get taken down in the first round, but he was able to land some good shots himself. And, he fared well in there, but Mike Grundy was just a little bit better. And he got it done, so big win there for Mike Grundy, and I'm sure Nadir Rahmani will be back as well. So that was a fun fight, actually. And then Molly McCann, Priscilla Cachoeira. A lot of people are buzzing about that fight. Like, they really liked it. I saw, Bisping said McCann's his favorite fighter now, and Kamaru Usman put out a tweet about it as well. But to me, that was a sloppy fight. It was fun, though, I guess. McCann was still coming forward, even with their orbital broken. I feel like if that was in another country, if that was in Brazil, that was in the United States, they potentially could have stopped that fight for the orbital break because it looked pretty bad there, but they didn't stop it, and Molly McCann did win the previous two rounds. Did pick Priscilla there, more just because of the odds, and I didn't really trust Molly McCann, and I feel like, for how close of a fight it was, how, it was decently close. I thought Priscilla won the third round. That I don't think it was justified to put a bet on Molly, but she went in there, she got it done. She's a fun personality, and big win for her there. And then Dan Ige, I kind of wish I went back in retrospect and bet on this fight because I called it pretty perfect on this on the breakdown video, man, with Dan Ige just going in there, being a little too fast, overwhelming Danny Henry early, getting a very quick submission. And, man, he's done that 2 times now where he's went in there, he's dusted a guy in under a minute and 30 seconds, and he's looking pretty serious. He had that loss to Julio Arce, but turned it around. He obviously has that in with Dominance MMA, Ali Abdelaziz. So I feel like he's going to continuously get these favorable matchups. And I think that he'll probably move up the ladder a little quicker as well, especially since he's getting these big finishes. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Ige get a pretty decent-sized name next. And for Danny Henry, seems like he cuts a lot of weight. He's a big guy. Maybe it's time to move up to 155, but didn't really get to see much from him at all. He had that layoff. Came back here after that big win over Dawodu and got dusted himself real fast. So didn't really get to see much from Danny Henry, how he's been doing in camp, if he improved or anything. So sure the next time he goes out there, he'll have a better performance. And for Saperbek Safarov and Nick Negumarino, man, a lot of cheating going on in this fight. Saperbek getting out of a couple heel hooks because of grabbing the cage. He was able to post on the cage, throw hard elbows to the head. And, I feel like Leon Roberts should have done something much sooner. He had probably in the first round, 50 cage grabs. I'm being a little bit with hyperbole on that, but probably close to 50 cage grabs. Honestly, man, and he was just doing it over and over. Roberts ended up taking 1 point, but I feel like he really could have DQ'd Saperbek. Saperbek even threw an elbow after after he broke him up. But overall, though, Nick looked really bad. He seemed like he gassed out after that first round, couldn't get the takedown, and Saperbek just beat him up, man. His jab, his straight punches, and just dominated the fight. So he was the better fighter. He was the rightful winner, but didn't make himself look very good with those fouls there. So Saperbek got it done, but we're gonna see what he wants to do next. Maybe they will rebook that fight with him versus Gokhan Saki. It looks like it'll be a fun fight now. After I saw that performance from Saperbek, he looked pretty good. He looked fast. Looked like maybe he has that leg problem under control now. So Saperbek may be able to go in there and have a brawl with Gokhan Saki. That might be a fun fight. And for Nick, man, I don't know if that guy's UFC level, to be 100% honest with you. He looked pretty bad out there, but I'm sure they're going to give him one more chance out of full camp to go in there and see what he has out there. But Mark Giacchese, Joe Duffy, I changed this pick on the Friday after the weigh-ins prediction video, the new one that I'm doing, and I was right. This was the only pick that I changed. I changed to Mark Giacchese after I heard things about Joe Duffy. Just saw how the fight week was going, and pretty good decision to change there because Mark Giacchese straight up dominated the fight. His leg kicks were looking really phenomenal. He was able to take Joe Duffy down, really controlled the whole fight, just dominated him, and made Joe Duffy look bad out there, man. Joe Duffy came back after that long layoff. He had a lot of hype coming in the UFC, and it just really hasn't materialized for him. So, don't know what Joe Duffy's going to do from here. You know, there was those talks of retirement even coming into this fight, before this fight. Now he took a pretty brutal loss. You could tell that GKC just wanted it more, man. And you saw after the fight, the emotion that he had. He was crying, openly weeping in the cage. So, really meant a lot to him to get that win there. And I feel like for Joe Duffy, you know, maybe his glory days are behind him. Maybe he doesn't have that drive, that motivation to move up to the top, because he is still talented, but we'll see. We'll see if Joe Duffy wants to come back. And for Giacchese, he's a free agent now. I'm sure the UFC is going to want him back after that performance. He's obviously dynamic. He's young. He's fun to watch. So definitely think Mark Giacchese's back. And if he continues to progress, you know, who knows? Maybe he could be a ranked fighter in the future for sure. And then up next, the guy that I do think is going to be a ranked fighter pretty soon, Arnold Allen against Jordan Rinaldi. And man, I mean, pretty clinical performance here by Arnold Allen. Jordan Rinaldi was not able to take him down at all. Couldn't get his striking going at all. And Arnold Allen just neutralized him, man. He just used a good game plan, stayed on the feet, outworked him on the feet, didn't really get hit much, landed a lot of shots on Rinaldi, avoided the takedowns, and won a very easy decision. It wasn't the most fan-friendly fight, but he went in there, he did that, and now he's 5-0 at 145 to start his career. I mean, there's definitely probably not many guys that could say that they're 5-0 to start their career at 145. So big accomplishment there for Arnold Allen, and he's probably going to get a ranked fighter next. I mean, I'm sure he will now that he's 5-0. They've tried to put him against a couple ranked guys in the past. I know they tried to put him against Gilbert Melendez, who maybe isn't ranked, but everyone knows Gilbert, you know, former title challenger and really good fighter. So maybe they'll give him a bump up of competition. I'm sure they will, and we'll see how he'll fare. But Jordan Rinaldi, I feel like he kind of just showed his level there, where he's not going to be able to compete with these better athletes. He kind of just he's a gatekeeper, man, to that top 30 in my opinion. Maybe, I mean, he's still a good fighter. You can't knock him, but definitely was a class below Arnold Allen there. Then Jack Marshman, John Phillips. This was the one bet that I actually lost, and I feel like John Phillips won that fight, man. I mean, Jack Marshman, I feel like he was doing a lot of running in that fight. I don't think that in that third round he did enough to warrant that he won the round. I definitely thought Phillips won the first round with the drop, but man, I was really annoyed with Phillips as well, man. When you drop the guy, Jack Marshman, to look it up at the lights, like almost out cold, and you're gonna fucking bow in front of him and do like a little curtsy or something. Like, what are you doing, man? Like, get down there and try to finish the fight. It's not like Marshman's submission artist off his back, so that was a little annoying. But you know, after Marshman felt that power, he decided to throw a lot of straight punches, do a lot of running, didn't want to engage with Phillips, and the judge gave him the decision win. So what can you say? You know, big win for Jack Marshman. You know, I don't know. I don't think it's going to move him up the rankings or anything, but he's going to get another fight. And for John Phillips, I mean, that's probably it, man. I mean, 3 straight losses in the UFC. He is an entertaining guy. He has that tie-in with SBG, with Conor McGregor. So who knows? Stranger things have happened. They may see him, you know, on another European card again. But I feel like maybe that's the end of the road for John Phillips in the UFC here. But, you know, I feel like he won that fight, to be honest with you. And up next, Claudio Silva versus Danny Roberts. A little bit of controversy here with, you know, Claudio Silva locked in that armbar in the third round. Danny Roberts let out a couple screams, which I guess the ref interpreted as a verbal submission, so he ended the fight. But after that, Danny Roberts was furious. He said he didn't tap. He obviously had gotten out of a lot of bad positions in the first 2 rounds. I was really kind of impressed with his submission defense. I felt like Claudio did win the first 2 rounds, but when you're in England and you have a guy that's really beating you up on the ground with big elbows, almost finishing the fight, sometimes that can, you know, offset the submission attempts, offset that control, even though I feel like if you have a close submission, it should be the same as a close to being knocked out, but a lot of people don't see it that way, especially some judges. So, you know, Claudio Silva was able to pull it out with that armbar in the third round. Danny Roberts was just on the ground too much with him, in my opinion. He should have stayed on the feet every single time he had him hurt. Claudio Silva was somehow able to get it to the ground. And Claudio Silva, man, that guy's hard to knock out. Danny Roberts, very commendable fight for him as well. Great fight. One of the best fights of the night. And maybe they'll run it back. Who knows? I know that Dana White came out and said he didn't agree with the stoppage. It was a really fun fight, so maybe they will run it back. But I do think that, if they run it back, Danny Roberts could very well get a knockout, but Claudio Silva could also get another submission. So maybe they'll move on up. I know Silva's old. I know he probably wants to move past Danny Roberts, get a top 15 matchup, and we'll see what happens. But great fight from both guys there. And then Nathaniel Wood versus Jose Quinones. This was the most confident pick, part of the parlay of the week, and he cashed very well. He went in there and got that finish in the second round with the rear naked choke. He's gotten 3 straight submission finishes in the UFC, and he was really just a class above. You could tell that Quinones was landing some leg kicks. He was able to get inside on some takedowns, but never really had Nathaniel Wood very worried, never was able to control him on the mat. He got him down, I think, maybe once or twice, but Wood was able to pop right back up. He was able to reverse, get back to his feet. So, great performance there by Nathaniel Wood, and when he took his back, you could tell that the fight was over, man. Great control on the back, locked in that rear naked choke, and that was all she wrote. So Nathaniel Wood snapped that win streak of Quinones. He looking like a pretty serious prospect. I'm sure they're going to give him a bigger name next. He just beat a guy who had a 4-fight winning streak in the UFC. He now has 3 straight wins, 3 finishes in a row. So he might be looking at a top 25, top 15 opponent next. And for Quinones, man, I still think he's a good fighter. He's a tough out, but I don't think he's going to be a top 15 guy. But I definitely feel like he could, beat a lot of fighters, be a tough out, and hang around in the UFC for a long time. So don't think that Quinones has to hold his head down too much over that performance. Then up next here, Dominic Reyes versus Volkan Ozdemir. I was very happy about this decision just because had some money here on Dominic Reyes, and he got it done, man, I guess. I feel like Volkan probably should have got the decision, but I don't think that was a robbery. Some people are calling it a robbery. It was fairly close. The second round, Dominic Reyes landed a lot of shots as well. Maybe they weren't the continued pressure shots, and Volkan was controlling the center, but Dominic Reyes landed some nice shots as well. I feel like he landed more shots than Volkan Ozdemir. But, if someone said Volkan won, wouldn't be able to argue that at all. And a lot of people think Volkan won the fight. So Dominic Reyes was able to slip out there with the win, move to 11-0. And, for Volkan Ozdemir, 3 straight losses. But I think that fight probably, reignites some confidence in him, in my opinion. It'll probably just up his stock a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised to see him fight a guy maybe like do a rematch with maybe like a guy like Jimmy Manuwa again, who's also on a 3-fight losing streak. I think maybe Jimmy's even on a 4-fight losing streak, but something like that. Get his confidence back if he can get the win there. And I definitely think Volkan is still a good fighter in the division. He's pretty athletic. He showed durability there. He showed better cardio, and seems like he's not going away. So good job from Volkan to come back with a good performance. But Dominic Reyes got the win on the judges' scorecards, and he was able to stay undefeated there. And up next, Leon Edwards against Gunnar Nelson. This was part of the parlay of the week. I had a lot of, people doubted me on this pick. They were doubting Leon, thinking that Gunnar Nelson was going to just be able to take him out, submit him, knock him out on the feet. But I was pretty confident Leon Edwards. I had a pretty big bet on Leon Edwards, and he went in there, and in my opinion, he dominated the fight. I guess to one judge, Gunnar Nelson won, which is just unbelievable, man. I don't know who that judge was. I don't know what they were watching, but for someone to think that Gunnar Nelson won that fight against Leon Edwards, you'd have to explain that to me, man, because I thought that, Gunnar Nelson could have got a 10-8 round in the second round when he got hit with that elbow. He was almost finished. First round, Leon Edwards was just able to out-grapple him. Second round, he just dominated him the whole round. The third round, even Leon Edwards was winning the whole round until the last probably 75, 90 seconds of the round, and Gunnar Nelson got mount. And when Gunnar got mount, he didn't do anything with the mount position. Leon was able to hold posture, control posture, and Gunnar never went for it. He should have went for it. He should have tried to, create a scramble, take the back, posture up, land some elbows, because he knew he was down in the fight. I mean, you would think that he knew he was losing the fight, but he never really went for it like that. And, Leon proved a lot of people wrong. He was able to out-grapple Gunnar Nelson. He took him down. He controlled him on the ground. Landed some shots from top position. He was excellent on the breaks, off the clinch, landing knees, landing elbows. And he looked really good, man. I mean, 7 wins in a row for Leon Edwards. I know now, after the fight, his performance is kind of being overshadowed by what happened after the fight that we're going to talk about here in a second. But, you can't deny this guy. 7 fights in a row. Just beat Gunnar Nelson. And looking very sharp, very sharp. I mean, very well-rounded guy. And then up next, the main event, the guy who stole the show, Jorge Masvidal against Darren Till. And man, I mean, Darren Till came out here like he said he was. He said he wanted to get a knockout in the first minute. Wouldn't be content without a finish in the first round. He came out, dropped Masvidal in about, 30, 25 seconds. Put him on his ass. And Masvidal was right with it, though. It seemed like it was just a flash knockdown, which a lot of times when you flash knockdown a guy like Jorge Masvidal, a guy who loves to fight, that's just going to wake him up, man. It's just going to say, okay, I'm here. I survived that. And he even said that in one of his post-fight interviews, that if you let me up from here, he was saying he was going to kill him. And that's what happened. I mean, he was blowing kisses to him on the ground. And once he got up, you could tell that, Darren Till, after a while, was really, really surprised by the aggressiveness of Masvidal, because Masvidal was walking him down, was throwing combinations. And Darren Till was playing a little bit as well. He was getting hit with some big shots, putting his hands down, taunted Masvidal. And, man, I mean, it was a war. Both guys were going back and forth. I feel like the first round, obviously, Till took it with the knockdown, maybe controlled a little bit more of the round. But you could tell that towards the end of the first round, Masvidal kind of got Till's timing. He saw that Till was really only just looking for that straight left hand. He kept having his chin way up in the air. I mean, his defense wasn't there on that night. And Masvidal was just looking phenomenal in that second round, though, man. I mean, switching stances, throwing a lot of variety into strikes. And the way that he switched stance, southpaw to southpaw, overhand left, just knocked Darren Till out cold, man. I mean, that was a brutal knockout. One of the best knockouts I've seen in a long time. I was very happy to see that performance. I mean, like I said, Jorge Masvidal, he's one of my favorite fighters in UFC history and MMA history. And, I think that guy's a legend, man. I mean, fighting from the Kimbo Slice days all the way to now, he looked like he was much smaller than Darren Till. I mean, a weight class below at least. Went out there, knocks the guy out viciously. I mean, Darren Till was out cold. I mean, out for multiple minutes. I mean, it's not a funny thing to laugh about or anything, but he was out. That was a brutal knockout. I mean, that takes time off your career if you're Darren Till, for sure. But, Darren Till, 2 losses in a row now. You'd think that maybe this is an indicator he should go to 185 pounds, but who knows? I mean, he said he was in great shape. He wasn't having a hard weight cut this time, and seemed very confident he was going to go in there and get it done, but just wasn't enough against a guy like Jorge Masvidal. He needs to go back. He needs to, work on expanding his skill set maybe a little bit. He's only 25 years old, so definitely has a lot of room to grow. But then after the fight, Masvidal stole the show even more with that 3-piece in a soda on Leon Edwards, where Edwards was talking shit to him in the back. He goes up to him. He 3 pieces him, hits him with a combination, cuts Edwards open. I mean, just a classic Jorge Masvidal. I mean, it's awesome to have this guy back after he went off on the reality show. He had that time off. And just a perfect way to reintroduce yourself if you're Jorge Masvidal. He's called for a title shot now. That's actually getting some traction. Seems like he's got the England, UK, sipping out of his hand now. They really love him over there. And, man, I mean, the only way to end this interview or end this video really is that, man, you're happy that the real is back, man.